Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the next installment of the BSO's Virtual Governing Members Lounge. Again, coming to you from my kitchen and not the Meyerhoff Hall, but we've got guest artists today who are bringing their own ambiance. Hold on, let me just close all of my technical, sorry about that, echo of myself in the background. But again, welcome. And this is now, I think, our third time doing this, our second time going live. So bar that one kink, I think we worked out all the technical glitches. But really, again, this evening is all about providing great content, great exclusive access to artist conversations, and really inviting everyone, not just governing members and donors, but everyone in the BSO's family to enjoy and join us in some quality conversations and maybe a drink if you have one handy. I'm officially out of wine and I've moved on to Maker's Mark. So that tells you what kind of week it's been. But again, so this evening, we're going to get into some conversation. Again, we are live. So if anyone is viewing on the BSO's YouTube page, you can chat us a question for our guests. That is being monitored. Alternatively, you can feel free to go ahead and send an email to offstage, all one word, at bsomusic.org. And we will be getting to all of those audience questions a little bit later in the conversation this evening. So, okay, last week we went for Mahler 3. Now we're going to a little bit of the Modern American Songbook. I'm really excited tonight to be joined by two very special guests who also have not just their voices, but their pianos to share with us this evening, which is great. Jack Everly, the BSO's principal pops conductor, who has been with us as a principal pops conductor since 2003, I think, Jack. So everyone should know and love you. Jack is also the principal pops conductor of the Indianapolis Symphony. I think you're coming to us from your home in Indianapolis.
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And then Jack has also brought along a special friend, Tony DeSare, who is making a return to Baltimore this coming season. And Tony, I know you're coming to us live from your home in Georgia.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
So first of all, let's do a little bit of, I think both of your backgrounds are a great setup to the conversation this evening. So Tony, you're going to be joining with Jack on a program this coming season. That is a program I think that you helped to curate, which we'll get into a little bit more about Frank and Ella. And I see that you've got a Frank Sinatra way, something in your background. Where does that come from?
That is an actual City of Chicago street sign that was a gift to me years ago. And it's just stayed with me throughout all my travels, all my moves. And I always have it not far from sight in my studio, just because I thought it was so cool when I got it. And of course, I'm a big Frank Sinatra fan. That doesn't hurt either. So yeah, so that's Frank Sinatra way. It's on Rush Street, right in the nightlife area of Chicago, the real Frank Sinatra way.
Cool. Well, you're going to be bringing us a little bit of Frank Sinatra next season, but also a little bit of Frank Sinatra tonight, I think. So great.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. And Jack, you've got some interesting artwork behind you, and maybe you could tell everyone a little bit of insight into that.
Okay, let me see if I can angle this a bit better. So that is a Hirschfeld, the great artist from all the Broadway shows for decades and decades. He drew that of Carol Channing in Hello, Dolly as she comes down the staircase. And since I conducted Dolly with Carol in 1978, yes, I'm that old, and in 1994, two different productions, I was given this, and Carol inscribed all that secondary stuff you see on there, and I will always treasure this because working with her was a joy. And she was very challenging and demanding, but so smart and so loving. Everything about the musical theater and the community that created all those things. So I miss her a lot. We lost her this past year as well as Jerry Herman, which is so sad. But hey, they gave us great things, and lucky me, I have that and my memory of Carol.
Amazing. Thank you, Jack. And you continue to bring us all that great music too, so it stays alive and well. So I know that I kind of gave away a little bit of the ghost that you guys are collaborating on something next year, but I know that that's not your first collaboration. So Jack, you were lucky enough to bring Tony into tonight's conversation. How did you get to know each other? What have you worked with in the past?
I think the first time we heard we heard Tony was at Bemelman's, perhaps, New York City, Bemelman's Bar, one of the iconic bars of all time. And we thought, good heavens, what a marvelous talent. And not only sings beautifully, but plays the piano, of course. And within a short time, we were creating our Irving Berlin concert, first time ever. So the Rajan Hammerstein company gave us permission to do new arrangements of everything Irving Berlin, and we did that, and Tony was a part of that concert. So naturally he sang and played I Love a Piano with all the variations that only Tony could come up with. And then he was part of our Sinatra concert of many years ago, and of course now he's created quite a few different concerts. His I Love a Piano is incredible. We have featured that. And now Frank and Ella. So let's have Tony tell us about Frank and Ella.
Yeah.
Well, of course, when you look at the 20th century artists, it doesn't get any better than Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald. So a really good friend of mine and wonderful singer and Broadway star, Carpathia Jenkins, and I decided to create this program, and we just love doing it. We love working together, and Frank and Ella loved collaborating and working together. There's a great TV special from the mid-60s where Ella was Frank's guest, and that was a little bit of an inspiration for the kind of energy that we wanted to bring to the show. And the great thing about this type of show is, there's the history of Frank and Ella and what they recorded, but also the songs, which everybody recorded at the time, whether it be Dean Martin or Louis Armstrong. There's this great trove of songs that are just so wonderful and so well suited to hear live with an orchestra. So the evening is divided up pretty evenly between Carpathia and me, and we also do duets, and it's a really great night, and I can't wait to get back to work and get back to doing it.
Okay, well, maybe you can give us a little preview before the evening.
Yeah, well, let's see, I'll give you a little.
There we go.
Something a little Sinatra, maybe?
I think that's only appropriate.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you.
Well, I'm sold. That was great. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You mentioned that obviously Carpathia is a big part of this program. How did you meet? Have you collaborated before on other things?
Yeah, well, we met doing Holiday Pops a few years back, and we just loved working with each other so much. We said we got to find something else other than just Christmas to work on. So this came about, and we've been doing the program for the last couple seasons, and it just gets more and more fun, more and more polished, and we're ready to roll with the BSO. So
I love it. Now, Jack, have you seen this program before? And then you said it has to come onto the season next year back in Baltimore.
I haven't seen it yet. I have heard all about it. It has been raved about since its inception. So naturally, it has to be with the BSO. It's that good.
I like it. Now, we're going to get a little bit more into the rest of the programs in the Pop series next year, but just a little bit more about you, Tony. I know that you got your start in New York at an off-Broadway show, right? Also Sinatra inspired. And clearly you have a beautiful voice, but I hear that you're also an excellent songwriter.
Oh, thanks. Well, I started writing songs kind of as an experiment when I was 17, and it's still an experiment. But I mean, and I would say I got my start. I mean, I grew up in upstate New York, and I was playing hotels and bars up there, and I went to Ithaca College, and then I kind of got a following there. So then I decided to move to New York City to give music a try before I, got into other things that I got my degree in. And so before our Sinatra, which was the off-Broadway show I was in, I played 5 nights a week at the Marriott Marquis Hotel in Times Square. So that was an interesting, 5-night-a-week thing where the audience constantly revolved, in and out of sight. So every 15 minutes there was a new request for New York, New York, for 2 years. And then, so then I did our Sinatra off Broadway, which is a great, it was like going to school for cabaret, because it was 8 shows a week. And, the audience, it was they paid a lot of money to, all of a sudden it was not just playing at a bar or a hotel. It's, people are expecting a show, they paid for a ticket, and that was a great education. And I got a record deal in 2005, which allowed me then to start getting out of New York and playing jazz clubs all around the country, all around the world. And then I started working in orchestras, with Pops orchestras, and with Jack really is the one who started that whole thing off in 2009. So the last decade has been just a wonderful experience of playing with world-class symphony orchestras and being on these beautiful concert stages all over the country. And I really love it. Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're excited to be able to welcome you back to Baltimore. I wonder if you'll have to maybe do a DeSare original, maybe a
Sure.
before we go. And I would have to say that maybe in that offstage at email address, people could also submit requests for you or for Jack. And we'll have to test your skills and knowledge and the in-tuneness of your pianos. So
okay,
we get before the end of the evening.
Sure.
Why don't we, Jack, would you be able to go a little bit more on what some of the other programs are that you're actively working on for the SuperPops series next year?
Oh, of course. It's a wonderfully exciting season. Now, what we just talked about with Tony, of course, is Frank and Ella, and that'll be in January. Actually, we're starting in October with a second concert newly created by the Doo-Wop Project. These guys are all from Jersey Boys and Motown the Musical, and this is their second symphony orchestra show. And in addition to, well, some of the standards like 16 Candles, Big Girls Don't Cry, Sherry, Shop Around, these guys who are from Broadway are going to come together for a new concert. And oh, what a night this is going to be. It's so popular what they do all over the country. They've even gone into Canada and done this act. And orchestras just adore them, and so do audiences, of course. In November, we have the Aaron Neville Quintet. So it's the great Aaron Neville, and you'll think of Stand By Me, My True Story, Nature Boy. He had 4 platinum albums. That's just incredible. And he will be joined by his quintet, not the BSO, but his quintet. That's a traditional thing we do in November. Then in January, Tony and Frank and Ella. And then in February, something I'm rather especially excited about, I have to say. This will be a world premiere, and we are creating it now. It's the great Andre Deshields. Andre, of course, is an icon on Broadway, has won Tonys, Grammys, Emmys, is an incredible performer, and he's a stage director and choreographer as well. And of course, he is a Baltimore native. So we are delighted to bring him back to Baltimore. For his world premiere symphonic show. Think of the shows. This is amazing to me because I've seen everything but the last one he's done. I saw him in the original The Wiz when he was The Wiz. I saw him in The Full Monty, and he won the Drama Desk Award for that. I saw him in Play On, and he had a Tony Award nomination for that. I saw him in Ain't Misbehavin', and that was just incredible. He won the Emmy Award for that, and he just won the Tony Award for Hadestown last season. So it's going to be quite a celebration of all 50 years of his career on Broadway and everywhere around the world. I'm very excited about that.
That's going to be amazing. And certainly we love seeing guests like you, Tony, we also love seeing, you know, hometown stars join on stage at the BSO as well. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So in April, we have a night at the Oscars, and that's everything from Titanic to Harry Potter to Star Wars and Ben-Hur. And then we finish the season in May with, I think, the first time ever, a Sondheim celebration. This great Broadway composer and lyricist gets his own evening with the BSO. Some Broadway singers, of course. I mean, think of the shows that this incredible guy has written. Follies, Company, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, Into the Woods, Sweeney Todd, Sunday in the Park with George. He wrote the lyrics for Gypsy. He wrote the lyrics for West Side Story. What a career. And we're so excited to celebrate that incredible repertoire with the BSO.
That's amazing. I don't think I realized that he wrote lyrics to West Side Story. So you just schooled me on something there, Jack. So in addition to obviously everything that we're looking ahead to next season, obviously everyone's a little bit more occupied of keeping themselves busy at home right now. So I was just wondering, and we've actually had our first question come through where people are curious if there's some special pieces that you might be playing on the piano while socially distancing at home. I think, Jack, someone might have noticed some Cole Porter on the music stand in a recent video that you did. So I would put that question to both of you.
Go ahead, Tony.
They noticed Cole Porter on my music stand?
I think on Jack's.
Oh, on Jack's. Okay. Well, Cole
It could have been on
great.
yours too.
Could have been on mine. I just actually recorded a Cole Porter song a few days ago. So one of the things I've been doing since I can't perform is I put out a daily video. I get up every morning, get ready like I'm going to work, and come downstairs, pick a song, rehearse it a few times, and then set up the camera and record it. So I'm on day 24 today. So I've done 24 songs, and you can find them on YouTube and Facebook. And so that's kind of how I've been kind of channeling that performing energy. And
what was today's song?
Today's song, was I wrote a song for a piano dealership. They wanted a radio jingle, and I wrote it for them. And I just decided I'd tell the story and play the song today. So I call it the Jordan Kids piano song.
I love it. Well, you know, we were promised a DeSare original at some point.
Do you want me to play that one? I'll play that one.
Maybe do it. Maybe you can do a little test because you've already given us the background.
Okay, so all right, so very quickly, so Jordan Kids Piano had been around for 100 years. This was a few years ago, and they called me. They wanted me to write something that they could put on the radio, that to try to get people interested in buying pianos. And they told me, we want you to be really creative. We want you to do whatever you want to do, but we all had a meeting, and it's very important that you put in that we have the lowest price guarantee. So I was like, all right, what do I do with that? But then I kind of decided that it's not really the lowest price guarantee that makes people want to buy a piano. It's what it does for the memories of music and the family having a piano in the house. So. Keep losing my little earphone thing. So, all right. I put his fingers on top of the keys when he was just 6 months old. I said, Daddy wants to play you some things you'll remember when you're all grown. And as the years went by, the songs you played most every night, reflecting dreams of black and white. The memory of that little hand still lingers in this piano, and the sound of music has made this house a home. We have the lowest price guarantee. That's where I said it.
There you go.
And then it's as I watch him now, all grown with his own son now, I just can't wait to show him how his daddy used to sit right there, so little in his piano chair, and the sound of music has made this house a home.
Wow.
Love it. And it was so appropriate, I think, that you shared that, Tony, because If I'm correct, I think that Jordan Kitts is also local to Baltimore,
Oh, it is. That's absolutely right.
downtown DC.
That
And I
is.
think that they provide the pianos for Strathmore.
They absolutely do. I didn't even make that connection to right now. And they have a store in Bethesda, I believe. And
Yeah.
I've done an in-store for them while I've done the BSO. So absolutely. So hi to all my Jordan Kitts friends.
You'll
Wow.
have to, when you do come back next year and you're doing Francanello, particularly on stage at Strathmore, you'll have to break out the Jordan Kitts jingle.
I'll do it with the maestro's approval. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Tony, that's so poignant. I mean, I can't believe that's considered a commercial. That's just so from the heart. It's beautiful.
Well, yeah, I couldn't. I mean, they actually at first wanted me to write something because it was a 100-year anniversary. They wanted me to write like a ragtime type piece, but it felt so kind of, I don't know, like what would make me want to buy a piano? Like, you know, when I think about my childhood and all the memories associated with music. So, I mean, ragtime, all I could come up with something like, you know, if you like pianos and live in DC, we got the lowest price guarantee. So
I'm glad
Keep,
you thought
keep that one on the
otherwise.
B
I
side.
had to go with the ballad. Yeah.
Tony, I've heard something that you're doing with the Jerome Kern song, Pick Yourself Up. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So it's still developing, but going very well. So one of the things that, you know, when I got home and all this, you know, all these very scary things are taking place. I thought, well, what could I possibly do? Like how could I somehow use my skills to help out? And I'm doing a mass video collaboration of all my peers and even people that I don't know in jazz artists and classic pop and other YouTube content creators like Postmodern Jukebox and the Piano Guys. So I'm producing Pick Yourself Up, but it's going to feature all these musicians recording remotely. And it's about half done already. I've been putting the video together. And the whole thing is to really just give us all a chance to be creative and create some art, and then also direct the audience when they watch it and hopefully enjoy it to donate to causes for artists, you know, to the AFM, the Actors Fund. So yeah, hopefully that'll be out in a few weeks.
No,
That's
thank you.
wonderful.
That's so important right now. And Jack, what about you? What are you listening to? What are you playing? What are you singing to keep yourself entertained, amused, and engaged these days?
I'm listening to things I always complain I never have a chance to listen to, which is really very indulgent for me. Usually all through a season, I'm researching, I'm listening music that is absolutely essential to get through the season. I just did Mary Poppins, the film, for example, in Ottawa. And so that took months of preparation, you know, with the click track and all that. And so that was enormous. But now actually, with everything already prepped for this season, I'm listening to things just to take me back. It's like a comfort zone. Old Broadway shows that I love, I grew up with. Some of the golden age stuff, you know, some films. I'm watching a lot of films that have great scores with them as well. I never have a chance really to do this when a season is, you know, coming down. Every week is a different concert and usually a different city, and then there's travel. So this is, doing this is really balm for my soul right now. And obviously we all need something like that. I'm reading a lot too. So just to give my brain a rest and my ears a rest, I'm reading a lot of books. I have the world's best home office, so I get to stare out of my windows, and I'm very lucky when it comes to that. So it's all these things. And of course, I've discovered that every time a day goes by, the happy hour time differential changes. So yes, so there's that just to keep up with. That's a lot to keep up with, but I encourage myself to do so.
Yeah, that looks like a nice drink. What are you drinking there, Jack?
It's a Quarantini.
There you go.
Little bit of an emergency, Maker's Mark and vodka and a slice of mango. What can I say? I'm getting inventive.
You'll need to mix one of those up and send it over my way next time.
Will do.
Now, Jack, you were talking a little bit about all that future planning work that gets put into creating future seasons and the long lead time. We had actually a question that came in from a friend of the BSO, James, and he was talking about how far in advance do we not only book guest artists, but how far in advance do you start the programming process? For example, approaching the BSO's pop series and season.
That actually has a twofold answer. Usually about a year and a half in advance of whatever season, you start to mull around ideas. What is a balance of repertoire for the season? What is the arc? What do you want to start with? What do you want to put in the middle? It depends on the season sometimes. If you want to do a certain different thing in February, perhaps, than you want to do in the springtime. So there's that. And then you decide what the rep is and then who the artists are going to be. So you check out, well, who's available? And then we find the slots on the calendar where Pops concerts will fit, where classical concerts, educational concerts, how that all fits together. Oh, that's so complicated. You can't imagine. And just for one orchestra to come up with those dates, that's complicated. For me, I'm lucky. I have, 4 orchestras that are trying to figure out the joint calendars. So everyone is so helpful. And I can't tell you how much of a village it takes to do that. Once we figure out who is available, what guest stars we're going to have, then we create the rep, or we can enhance the rep and refine the rep that they may bring with them, things like that. For example, this past season, we just had Anne Hampton-Callaway sings the Linda Ronstadt songbook. And it was so successful, and she was given Linda gave her her Nelson Riddle charts as an example. And so everything is authentic. Of course, Anne's a great talent as well. And we hope to have that on a future season with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. So it takes about a year and a half, and then you refine it more and more so as you approach the actual performance date.
Yeah, it is a long lead process. And Tony, I'm sure that your calendar is well booked into many years ahead, but that's the world in which we live, so.
Yeah, that's about right, year and a half for as far as, yeah.
One question and other came in, just I think kind of thinking about the time that we're in now. How does it feel not to be on stage making music together with one another and with other musicians? Though obviously, Tony, you're taking the virtual approach, as you were sharing earlier.
Yeah, well, like I said, I kind of am getting that performing thing out of my system every day. But I think to say how it feels, it's more I've learned that really can't take it for granted, that what we were doing and what when everything has to stop, just taking people for granted, and that whole connection of everybody sharing a common space and enjoying music together. It's something that at the moment seems pretty foreign and scary even. But I look forward to a time when we can all celebrate the fact that we can safely get back together, have a great concert and have everybody enjoy it. I think that, not only with music, but a lot of things, I've learned that not to take it all for granted. I think it's easy to when everything is just so, it's like, I'm just always leaving for the airport and coming back from the airport, repacking, and, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle of all that. But it's all about the music and all about the community coming together to enjoy it together, and that whole the feeling of a concert, of everybody being on the same page with what's going on in the room. I can't wait to get back to that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Tony, about there's a beauty also in taking a moment to pause and think about what we sometimes take for granted. So, well, I think that I'm looking at the clock. It's wrapping up to 5:30, so we're coming up on our end time. But I just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in. I really encourage everyone not only to check out, Tony, your YouTube site. So that's on your website that people can look at your daily production, right?
Yeah, if you just search Tony DeSare on YouTube, my channel will come up. Also, my Facebook page. I'm easy to find. As long as you spell my name right, DeSare.
That's always a trick.
Right.
And Jack, we're going to be in a lot of good connection and good contact, and look forward to hearing a lot of good things that you'll continue to do through this point in time. Before I'm going to ask you both to play us out, I want to remind everyone that next week we'll be back live again next Thursday at 5 o'clock. Next week, I'm actually going to be joined in a program talking all about orchestra with film, including a little bit of the Wizard of Oz orchestra with film that we were supposed to be doing next week. And I'm going to be joined by Michael Farragudo, who's the BSO's own librarian, as well as the AFI Silver Screen and Cultural Center's Director of Programming, Todd Hitchcock. So I look forward to that. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. Cheers. And on that note, peace out, guys. Cheers, everyone. Good night.
All right, cheers.